Witnesses and what we're thinking about and how video is really changing. And I'm going to be speaking primarily in a human rights context. So just to give an overview, really the kinds of people and the participants who are creating video and who are creating media, citizen media, about human rights issues has really expanded in the 20 years that Witness has been around. You have accidental witnesses, people like George Holliday in the United States who filmed the beating of Rodney King 21 years ago. Of course, people at protests like Occupy Wall Street in Egypt and Tahrir Square, people who are being trained, who are given access to or have access to tools and who are promoting human rights campaigns through visual media. Traditional documentarians, actually perpetrators, right, who are increasingly and have for a while been actually filming human rights abuses and then sharing them either for intimidation or accidentally, thinking that they would just share it amongst themselves and then it gets leaked out. In the center, this very fuzzy visual is from a piece that the Egyptian blogger Wael Abbas has shared over time and created an archive of police brutality across Egypt. There's a picture of some folks in an Androids community here in Kenya who were filming a piece about forced evictions. Their land was taken from them in order to create a game reserve and the fight they were doing. And then there are also mainstream media outlets who are increasingly showing and screening citizen media. And the places in which citizen video and citizen media are being shared and shown are also expanding. So we have the case of the International Criminal Court, who are looking at video testimony from people in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on a case there of a arrested and indicted warlord. In the top right corner, there's a governor from the state of Guerrero in Mexico who is watching a video that a group has put together about a dam that is affecting, or the building of a dam that might affect their community and force, hundreds of, or I should say, a few tens of thousands of people from their homes. What you don't see is that there are 200 other people watching him to watch his reaction from the community. Facebook, of course, and other social media platforms become places that we're all sharing video. And then again, screenings actually in communities that don't have access to Twitter, that are not watching things on YouTube either because of connectivity issues, and in some cases electricity issues, but where video can be shared from place to place in screenings or in rooms like this about issues that affect their communities. Issues that we're thinking about at Witness include, as we have increased tools and increased access to sharing video, sharing media rather instantaneously, what about the identification of you as the creator as well as people that are in your pieces, in your video, in your media that may or may not choose to be there, or information that you yourself may be sharing that you're unaware of. So in the top right corner, a woman who is speaking out about political violence and rape being used as a political tool in Zimbabwe, who's willing to come forward and share her story, but understandably was very concerned about repercussions of her sharing her story. So how can we obscure her identity while she can still share the story without perhaps being victim of reprisal attacks? The lower right-hand corner is probably familiar to many of you. This is a crowdsourced site from the Iranian government in the Green Revolution protests, pictures that citizens shared from protests themselves, and then the government used to crowdsource to ask people to identify these people, and so that they could be tracked down and arrested. And again, an example from Wael Abbas, who's using Bamboozer, the social media, or the mobile platform for live streaming. There is a GPS option in many of these kinds of technologies that you can choose to turn on or turn off. He's choosing to share his location of where he is and where he's streaming from, which is amazing. It's shareable to his friends. The police can also track that very easily. So one of the things that we've been thinking about is how an easy tool can be provided to citizens who are out, whether they're intentional or accidental witnesses. We've been working with the Guardian Project, a group of developers, to create tools in mobile phones. This is available on the Android platform at the moment. It's called ObscuraCam. It very easily and quickly identifies faces in imagery, both in photos and in videos that you're taking, and you can quickly obscure them, pixelate them. It also strips out the metadata so that if you want to and can immediately upload something so that you can share what is happening, where you are at the very moment, but you're concerned about your location, your personal safety, as well as perhaps those in the crowd or people who are being people who are gathering, that you can strip that information out. Incidentally, people have also told us that if they're friends with their bosses on Facebook, it's also really helpful if they have been doing things late the night before and they don't want to share all of that information with their bosses. This image isn't showing up with some of the overlay that's here, but it's coming. We're also working on an app called InformaCam, which is part of this larger project with the Guardian Project, which a lot of the questions that come up with citizen video in particular is authenticity and verification. News outlets and citizens, who are consumers of this information want to know, is this real? Did this really happen when this person is saying it did, in the location that it did? So some tools that we're trying to also think about are, is there a way that you can embed that information in metadata in an encrypted way so that as you're sending that information to a trusted outlet or a trusted source, they can have that to the degree that that information is verifiable embedded in the image, and so there's less of a question of, did this in fact come from this country on this date and in this incident, as somebody is telling me, and I have no other way except for triangulating other videos or other pieces of media to verify that. And we're also thinking about ways in which we can provide platforms so that this kind of media can be contextualized better. I think a lot of citizen media, particularly about human rights, often is shared very quickly because there's a need to get it out, either for your own individual safety or because you've got a connection at the time you've got a connection and you've got to make it happen. And then again, issues of authenticity and verification, veracity come up. So how can we better contextualize that and provide a space for that kind of media to be shared? And one of the projects we just launched with a partner called Storyful is this human rights channel, which now lives on YouTube. And we are curating playlists based on themes and events that are taking place. And it's culled from media that's uploaded to YouTube, and then Storyful looks through citizen media, Twitter, Facebook, etc., to try and pull together a number of pieces that they can verify to the best of their journalistic ability, and then pull together playlists based on that content. So we're really trying to reach out to people like yourselves with